are doing something into that regard, and it's your names were so easy to come to mind. I think that a lot of people can attest to how much work you've put into your respective things that you are doing out there, and it was very, very easy to think of you. So when we say development, like Ms. Hikmat, what constitutes development for you?
All right, thank you for having me today, and I am particularly here today because of the fact that it's about youth engagement that we need to talk about. So basically, when we talk about development, people say it's multifaceted. It means different things to different people, and so generally you have people talking about development in terms of change. And what is that change? The change is always positive, or should be, or ought to be positive. So from my perspective and from the perspective that I work, we always see development as a process that involves that changing for the better of society, for the better of the individual. And so generally, with regards to our work again, you realize that we work with young girls, and we approach development from the right perspective, and also from the empowerment perspective. The human development aspect of development is very critical to our work, because largely you realize that economies or countries or societies talk about development in relation to the GDP, in relation to standard of living. But we realize that in as much as these things are very important, we should also look at the human aspect of it, which is very critical. And in looking at the human aspect of it, we also have another aspect that is mostly excluded from the development agenda, and that is the aspect of female, women and girls, and that is where our work comes in. So we talk about empowering girls to with the potential of becoming leaders in our society, with the potential of being able to stand up for themselves wherever they find themselves, the potential of getting to the highest level of education that they so much desire to attain. So that is the perspective that we see development from, and also from the right-based approach of development, that in as much as we are living in a society that we believe that we are all humans, there are rights that we need to enjoy as individuals. And the fact that where your rights ends is where someone else's rights begins. So we are very critical of the fact that discrimination shouldn't be part of society. And a society that is said to be developed should be without discrimination. So for example, we shouldn't discriminate against minority groups like young girls or women, and we should give them the space within our society to also contribute meaningfully to the development of the society. So for today's discussion, my concentration will be on young women, how young women are also contributing their bit to the development agenda of the society.
Brofo. Okay, so for me, my area of work has to do with conversations with people, and also helping others. I have this principle that when I'm not doing anything, I should help someone do something. So I think I've been engaged, or I've engaged with a lot of people. I've engaged with you here. I think I've engaged with you a bit, but we couldn't actually. So that's how my work is. Always helping others and having conversation with them as well. Because one thing around here that I don't see more often, that I see on TV, because that is, whatever I am today is because of the kind of TV I watch. Okay. So what I see on TV has always been people having conversations. Here we don't have conversations. We only argue. There's no between having a conversation and arguing. Okay. So for me, that is how my work is. As soon as someone, we have conversations. That's what we do all the time, having conversations or using digital technologies to also communicate and aid development. So we have conversations and we help other people carry out their messages. Okay. So that's what we like to do.
So, your thoughts?
Okay, about development.
Yeah.
Before I talk, I'd like to give thanks to the Almighty Allah for giving us health and long life to be here. We thank God for that. And my condolences to yesterday. There was a tragic at Ogusu, or how is the name? Western region, right?
Yeah.
God see them through that calamity. I would like to greet everyone here. And before I start, I'll just start with saying development. We have personal development and we have social development. And my definition for development is the change gained from planned endeavors when the needed opportunity and resources are given.
Okay.
Yes, and the reason is everyone has an idea or a project in mind, especially the young people.
Yes.
But then how to bring it to being is the problem. So if I have my idea, you see, and I have the needed resources and the platform to bring it out, and I'm able to bring it out because I'm working towards a goal, then obviously there will be development.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So development is just about that plan endeavor, what you have gotten from that when you are given the needed resources and platform. That is development.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's get a bit personal here. Ms. Hikmat, you are the executive director for the League of Young Female Leaders, and it is one of the girls clubs that are thriving around. I mean, I think that I have known you since somewhere from 2017, and each year that passes you keep growing the club. A lot of young women keep benefiting from it. How did that come to you? How did you start? Like, what happened? What was the you slept and woke up one day like, no, I have to start an organization that focuses on the empowerment of young girls?
All right. So yes, it always has a starting point. And for me personally, what happened was we started League of Young Female Leaders from something else. Initially, we had the League of Ladies Ghana, and we started it whilst I was in school back at KNUST. We realized that for most of the leadership positions on campus, from colleges to halls to SRC to NUCs, for most of the positions, you realize that they were contested by males. And you hardly find young women applying for or going in for SRC presidents or NUCs presidents. And we realized that that was a challenge and that was a gap that we needed to fill. And so we started the League of Ladies Ghana. And our foremost concern was to get more young women into leadership positions, especially at the university level, and trickle it down to the basic level. So we started it like an advocacy or a campaign, and we started it with other young women from other universities, just campaigning on campus to ensure that more women were represented in decision-making positions. And we chalked some successes because through that we had KNUST producing the first female Speaker of Parliament, and eventually we had two other young women from KNUST contesting for SRC presidency. And it was true that we also had the first national NUCS president, Latifa Jassal, that she became the NUCS president in that year. So, and UCC too, we had young women contesting for SRC Legon as well. So yes, it was when all this started that we realized that if we needed to make a big change, then we needed to start from somewhere. And starting from somewhere meant that we needed to start at a basic level, because for most of us getting to the university or tertiary level, our minds have already been made up to an extent that it's difficult to re-socialize the mind to think that I can do this. But if you're able to get them at the basic level and re-socialize them with that mentality that you don't have to be male, you don't have to be female. Once you have the leadership capacity, you should go for it. That should be the focus. And then we went back to the drawing board and we decided that, okay, we'll start it at the basic level, from junior high to senior high, and see how we can nurture these young girls to become young women who would venture into leadership, who would, at any point in time when the opportunity presents itself for a decision-making role, she would sit back and say, oh no, the man should go for it. I always say, even in job advertisements, a woman will have 80% of the qualification. But because of that 20%, she says, no, I will not apply. But a man will have 20% of the qualification. but and doesn't have 80%, but because of that edge to lead and to be part of the decision-making body, the man goes for it, and sometimes they eventually get it.
Yeah.
While the one who is most qualified is sitting back saying she would not dare. And so that was how come we started it in somewhere in 2015. We started with only 20 girls as our mentees. And today it's amazing how some of these girls have turned. Some of them are abroad doing their masters. Some of them have taken decision-making roles as prefects, as SRC presidents. It's so amazing. And today we have a capacity of about 400 girls that we are mentoring and nurturing to become leaders of tomorrow. So yes, the journey has been quite impactful, stressful, challenging, but when you look at these girls and what they are becoming in society, it's amazing and it's a joy for us.
Wow. That was like very inspiring. I got goosebumps from listening to you. I don't know. I mean, I've seen your girls. I have interacted with them. I see the training you put them through, but it's still amazing as to what you've done with them. Thank you very much.
Most of them have gone to this school.
Really?
It's a fact.
I don't think that Hikima.
They dare not go to this school.
She knows they are
I will
most
disown
of
them.
It's a fact.
Okay, Fishbowl.
every mother is disappointed.
Fishbowl.
Yeah.
It's Sanatu Zambang. You know, for a very, very long time, I actually thought that it was a woman that owned Sanatu Zambang. I have known Fish for a number of years now. I think it was last year that I didn't think of Fish as the owner of Sanatu Zambang. I just, I thought that, he worked there. I didn't think that you owned the place. And also the name. So, like, how did that come about?
Oh, the name, let me see. In my village, we grew up, my grandmother and I grew up with my grandmother most of the time. And we lived in their house before we moved to our house. So we are from the same village.
Okay.
I named it after my grandmother because I spent most of my time with her. So Sanatu is the name of a woman. Zambanga is usually the priest name for a cat.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's also a family name a royal family name from the Kumungu side. So she was the last of their line. So I named it after her when she passed away. Because she was the one who gave me go ahead to go and study what I wanted to. Because everyone in the family was like, do nursing, do this, do that. By now I would have been part of those injecting and killing people because the passion is not there. You just be texting and the patients are dying. But she was the one who said, yeah, go and do what you want to do. I'll wait for you. So I finished, I delayed a bit in Accra and she passed on. So I felt like I should end it after.
Okay.
So that's So first it was Hidden Voices.
Okay.
Studios. Yeah, as a blog. And I beg to differ with your definition of development, talking about resources. From where I see or from where I grew up is have the idea and look around you. What do you have? What can you do with what you have? I think that's how it started. And like I said, if you can't figure out a way, you go help someone else do this. So I usually use Hikma and other people as example. When I was free, not doing much, I used to volunteer.
Yeah, I think the first time we met at an outreach Hikmat
Even
organized.
up till now, sometimes I wake up and there's not much in the office. I go to Chase Studio and we clean the place, we mop. I used to do that with Makati. Like, if you are stuck at your dream, you go help someone else achieve this. Probably in their helping them, you can find yours. Yeah. Here, you hardly like entrepreneurs and developers, they hardly visit each other's workplaces to see what is going on. So you can't actually even learn about somebody's job and know what they do. So for me, development is what do you have, what can you do with it?
And I think I should just add this. I think for most of us, especially young people now, you realize that everybody wants to start something because they want to be called executive director of this, a manager of this, manager of that. But I think for now, we have so many startups in the system, and I've always been emphasizing this anytime I meet my colleagues. it's time to synergize our efforts. We can't continue doing the same things in bits all over. We need to come together to work. I just realized that just a couple of weeks back, I saw someone or a couple of people coming up with new organization. And when I look at their mandate, the same things that we're doing. So sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just take on what is already there and then help support for the system to run. But if we continue doing things in bits, exactly the same mission, the same vision, we are not going anywhere. It doesn't help the development agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. So you realize she's here, she's in this particular program, she's in another program. The same focus.
And Denzel will say that don't confuse movement with progress. There are a lot of things we do in Tamale here that Accra people don't do in terms of workshops, in terms of girl training, all that. But we ask ourselves, like Jose was asking, what has changed Magnificent so far? Nothing. So it's like we are doing a lot, but we are doing a lot of movement, but progress.
But we can't really point that this is what is coming out of it.
And personally, I think like school clubs, like how it's not because we're here. I think we spoke about it some time back. We're talking about groups or like organizations, talking about how they do. Hikmah here, you don't see Hikmah you only see Hikmah when it's International Day or the Reading Day or whatever international day. Then you see the girls. The girls are always in the school, in clubs, and they are being taught by their school teachers. You get that? Because she's not a teacher. She only knows about how you can bring these elements together to teach the kid. But she's not a professional teacher.
Okay.
But you see a lot of young people, like, they themselves are teaching them. And I said, are you a professional teacher?
Really? Like they take them out of school and teach them?
Yeah, when they come to
that.
their programs, they teach them themselves. Meanwhile,
they do the delivery.
Meanwhile, they are not professionally trained to do that. But then because, like she said, she's the CEO. You understand? So it's like we are doing a lot of movement, but no progress.
I hear you, Fishbone. Let me put a pin in that and come to Ismu. You are a poet, a spoken word.
Sure.
I think that in recent times, I'm actually excited at how people are actually putting their works out there, how it is one area that people are really focusing on right now. When I was younger, I used to get teased a lot because I liked poetry. People would not understand why someone would, just like poetry. Because I think that it's one of those things where if you are not passionate about it, you do not understand it, no matter how hard you try. So sometimes it's like people are just stringing words together. But if you like poetry, you feel it. So I'm actually excited that in my lifetime, it has gained ground, and a lot of people are venturing into it, putting their thoughts out there. How did it begin for you?
Thank you for this question. I began my poetry when I was in senior high school, 2018. So that was in Form 2, my year 2.
Okay.
I started poetry, though I was doing science, but I started poetry, and my colleagues were like, "You are doing science and you are venturing to these things." I said,
I think that's another thing too. People think that if you are not in the arts, you cannot really do poetry. I keep saying all the time that I think some of the great poets that I know, I like and admire their work, do not have any art background.
Sure. So it's about the talent. When you discover this is what I have, and bring it out. Because at that time I was writing, and how I started, I saw that my seniors were about to write their wasi. So I wrote some speech and recorded myself and posted it on Facebook, and it went viral.
Okay.
And in that case, I like writing. Sometimes I come to my class front and be reciting to them. That is how I started my
Did you have a hard time with that? Didn't you get
well,
teased?
because the thing, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but because I had passion for it. And sometimes people will be like, "Ndo chama to arts class, well, I can't be science class, no the poetry."
Okay.
You see? So I told them that look, this is just about passion, because even me myself, like I just developed the love for it, and I like doing it. And even any program, I would like to be part so that I perform poetry. So that's how I started my poetry in senior high school when I was doing science. It wasn't easy, and also I got to realize that there has never been a student who took poetry like that, maybe in B school.
Okay.
So when I came out like that, because I came out as someone like a spoken word artist. So my first poem, I recorded my first poem when there was something going on around the school. So I used it and recorded the poem and released it just on WhatsApp. So it went viral in the campus. So it's smooth gigantic, it's smooth gigantic. So that is how I just started it. And in that case, I got to realize that, okay, then most people did not have interest into it, or they didn't think there is something like this where you can develop love for. But when I started, I could see that my colleague students, my juniors and my seniors were encouraging me. You are doing well, my master, you are doing well. And that is just how I started my spoken word poetry.
Okay, another proof that encouragement really goes far and shaping young
Which
minds.
year was this? You're talking about Facebook and WhatsApp. Our time.
He said 2018.
2018.
So yeah.
Oh, okay.
2018. You are an old man.
I feel really old.
I'm just
You said our time. You are whose time Facebook.
No, like you say, WhatsApp,
You are not old.
WhatsApp, Facebook, and I'm like, and I'm looking back at my days. No, the Facebook we had, it was still the Nokia Aisha kind of Facebook type. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I put it on actually.
Okay, so still on development, what kind of skills does one need to be able to contribute to development? You know, sometimes when you talk about development, young people sometimes feel like they do not have a say in it. You know, they think that it's all the big people in some room making the decisions, and they just have to go along with it. So, what kind of skills does one need to be able to contribute to development?
So let me take it from the point of my work again.
Yeah.
So for whatever project that we're going to embark on, one thing that remains relevant to the work is data. So for example, you are going to embark on a project on child marriage. What data are you using? What percentage of girls are being affected in this particular community? What is your target? What do you want to do with that percentage? What reduction level do you want to achieve? So I always say that for any young person who wants to engage in development work, you should equip or begin to learn how to do research, basic research, especially in collecting data. Because whenever you're putting out a proposal there to get maybe grants, to get funds for support for your work, you need to be able to communicate that data to the people so that they know what they are investing in. For most funders, if you don't have the numbers to support your work, they do not appreciate whatever you are doing. So yes, research skills comes handy when you are within the development cycle. And so young people should try as much as possible to have that. And I also talk about communication skills, because especially in this world that we live today, as a young person, if you really want to be meaningfully engaged in wherever you find yourself or whatever space you find yourself, you should be able to communicate very well. Your voice should be very pivotal wherever you find yourself. So for example, we always advocate that young people should be given a chance, they should be put on decision-making tables. So do we just put a young person there who goes to sit and do nothing? And just to represent that the person is a young person and that ends it. We need someone who will be able to sit on that table and be able to communicate the needs of young people. So that when a person gets up from that table, every other person who was on that table doesn't forget that voice. Why wouldn't they forget that voice? Because you made meaningful contributions to the discussion. So yes, communication skills comes handy too when we're talking about young people engaging in development. So I think I'll just stop with this too.
Okay, Fishbone, what is the importance of youth participation in development?
I think youth itself is development, because you can't have a nation run by old men. The reason I'm saying you can't have a nation run by old men is that they don't make decisions based on current events. They make decisions based on their past mistakes. So if they couldn't, for instance, it's just like raising a child. So if you couldn't afford a phone, now that you have money, you buy your child a phone. You understand? But the question is, have you taught the child the responsibility of having a phone before buying a phone to them? So that's how I think elderly people run countries. They just provide things that they didn't have. But the question is,
do we need it?
Do we need it? Right now, we are saying that the youth in Africa are the highest population. But currently, look at how affairs are being run by the old people, and things are not going very well. So for me, when we talk about youth, or when we talk about development, it's youth. Young people have to be given the opportunity. That's one. Two, young people have to create the opportunities themselves. So, and the third one is when you see someone doing something unique, creating a larger opportunity for other people, don't just sit idle or don't duplicate. Come in and support. So I'll come back to Hikma again. What Hikma is doing is based in the schools. Until they have a national day event, then they come together, and that's when they see each other. And unless you see these kids when they come, some of them, they've never traveled, they've never left home. So when they come, that 2 day, that 3 day, you realize that they are so free. It's like birds that have been left out of cages. You get that? So if you come in to help Hikma, you're not helping Hikma, but you're helping those young girls to grow. I remember Portia Derrick Read Write Clinic. Up to some of them, I saw one at Hopin Academy the last time, and she came in and they told him that it is closed, like the numbers they needed, and she cried, and she was my sister's friend, my junior sister's friend. So I managed. We went to get her. Today she's doing computer technology, whatever at Navrongo this time. And she was telling me that she's not really interested in it, but that's what she got. So she just choose and pour and get her A's. You get it? But point is, what I'm trying to say is, now these kids, they see you and they feel like you contributed to their life. You understand?
Yeah.
They don't feel like you came to help Portia or you came to help Hikma. So I think that is where we have to start as young people. Identify someone who is doing something interesting and you go in and support. You go in and support. Because the thing is, if you don't go in and support and you feel like the thing is Hikma's thing, we are not praying for bad destiny. Hikma should fall off right now. Does it mean that all the girls that were in that particular lesson are going to have their careers dropped? No. These international NGOs you see that have been living for 50 years, 70 years, do you think the man who started it is still alive, or the woman who started it is still alive? People are now running it. That is what we call legacy. So I think young people, the only way we can help ourselves or to contribute to development is helping ourselves. Identify someone who is doing unique things in your community and go in and help. Look at what Ibrahim is doing currently. Look at what Makati is doing. Look at what Hikma is doing. Look what Portia is doing. 700 signatures, you have this training, IT training and all that.
Yeah.
If you are a tech person, you are home doing nothing, you are just Facebooking. Why don't you come here and just volunteer and help them? You understand? That is how you contribute. You don't have to mount a platform and chant and go on the street and do certain things. There is one girl, Kausare's sister, Awakar Khadija. She identified one child when she was doing her national service. Sisu friends were already in junior high, and he was still in primary because he was a slow learner. Khadija identified this student and specially started teaching him. He even did his dissertation based on Sisu and got an A. Today, Sisu is catching up with his friends. Khadija didn't have to stage a whole enterprise of kids. No, she just picked one child and helped make Sisu a better student. So, coming back to the point, just identify something little and do, even if it is cleaning your house gutter. Imagine if everyone cleaned their house gutter. You will not have national sanitation day. So I'll stop here.
Okay, so if you just joined us, this is the Young Voices Forum, and today the spotlight is on some amazing young people in Tamale that are contributing their quota to development. You can leave your questions, your comments in the comment section, and if we have time, we would address them. So, Ismuk.
Yes.
How has it been so far for you? How has the receiving of your works been for you?
My spoken word portion.
Yeah.
Yes, it has been cool. Though the route is not smooth,
Yeah.
but we will not give up. So since we are not giving up, people are getting to realize the importance of what we are doing, and then they are coming to join, and also they are coming to support. And that is the most important part of it, because starting poetry, you can see that I got to realize that our people here do not even know poetry. And also the time I started poetry, I didn't know many poems.
I think it's more about interest.
It's more about interest. That's what I'm talking about. So I got to realize that. So how do we do so that our people get to realize that poetry is also an entertainment or something that can add to development? So I realized that there was a competition called Not Got Talent. So I went and joined the competition.
Okay.
Dancers, musicians, and the youth. If a dancer comes on stage, if a musician comes, if a poet comes, like they'll be like, what is this? So one day I even climbed the stage, and when I finished performance and I came down, one guy just approached me. Ismu, I like what you are doing, but I don't understand. Please break the words down for me. I got to realize that it isn't that he's not enjoying the thing, but he doesn't understand English. You understand? And also, maybe they don't have someone who is doing it in the local dialect, so they also get to realize this is what is poetry. So, second season of North Got Talent, I went back and I was now doing it in local dialect, Dagbanle. So when I was doing it, I got to realize that I got a very great amount of fans from those watching, and also the comments from people are now great. And I got to realize that the people are now getting to know that, okay, this is what Ismok is doing. And he's doing it in Dagbanle. Okay, there is something like that in entertainment where someone will just be talking and you'll be enjoying it. Okay. You understand? So the difficult part is that the youth, they don't know poetry. They don't know poetry at all. And so we only need to build up to understand that the youth will not get to know, come on here, like anytime they sit, they hear poetry, just like they have been hearing songs everywhere. Poetry here, poetry here. No matter what, since they've been hearing it, they will develop interest for it. Okay. But because the person doesn't know it, he doesn't know the importance of how it tastes. You see the thing. So that was the challenge I was facing. Okay.
So on challenges, Hikmat, what do you think are some of the challenges that are preventing young people from, contributing to development? Sometimes when you meet a lot of young people, they say, oh, you even want to do it, but then, there is no support. You want to do it. You have been there. How were you able to, deal with those challenges?
Okay, so let me just tie this to the initial skills that I mentioned, networking. So I've come to realize that most of our young people do not know how to network, and they don't know what network building tool is. For me, networking has done a lot of good for me, and I'm going to emphasize it today because as young people, if we don't get to connect to each other and begin to appreciate the various interests that we have or we share, we will never go anywhere. We are seated here as young people. So for example, you have interest in gender, we all have interest in gender equality issues. And you are doing your thing this way, I'm doing my thing, they are doing their thing separately. If we come together, if we synergize our efforts, you realize that our impact becomes greater. We have one voice. And if we are going to confront any decision maker, we have a better case than if we are going to do it as individuals. So that's one thing that has really worked for me. You might have heard about Bashira, Kamal, Felicity, and all the rest on Facebook. And it's amazing how you build network on Facebook alone, and then it becomes personal, something that you meet in person to organize around an issue. And that is amazing. So young people, it's challenging. I know it's not easy. Myself, it wasn't easy for me when I started networking with people. But once you begin to network, you see the very good aspect of it and realize that it gets things done better for you. Sometimes I can just be sitting down, Bashira would just call and say, Hiki, there's this organization that wants this and that, or that wants that is running this training. I want to engage. I'll be sitting down, Gifty Auntie would call, this organization is coming to Tamale, they need someone to do this and that for them. And some of these things, trust me, even what they'll put in your pocket for just like 2 hours, 3 hours is just amazing. Some time ago, I was there, and organization called me. They told me that they had my contact from someone in Accra. They didn't even mention the person's name, and that they wanted me to do something for them. I said, okay, what is it? They told me, and it was about entrepreneurship and a young woman who is engaged into an enterprise. But I look at myself and I said, that's not my area. But I have a lot of people within my network that I can recommend someone. So I recommended Rukayari. And then they got in touch with her, spoke with her. It was just recently that she saw me and she was telling me about it, how huge it was for her. And I was happy. So it's always important as young people that we build those networks and know that at any point in time, if I need this, if I want something of coverage, I know who to rely on. I'll go to him. If I want something about maternal health, ICT, I'll contact your boss. If I want something, like, you just have so many people with diverse interests within your network and with the same shared interest as yourself, that at any point in time, if you need help from anyone, you can get. I know when we started, Ismuk mentioned the issue of resources that young people do not have access to. And Fishbone came into to the bank that it doesn't really matter what you have. Or what you do not have. What you have is what is really important. And I do agree with both of them, actually. Young people are limited in a way that there are some things that they need to thrive that they do not have access to. Because when we talk about development, it's also about what is available, who has power to give that. And most of the time, young people do not have that power, and they do not have the power to get those things that they need. But just as I was saying, if you have a stronger voice, if you have a movement, if you have a clique, that you realize that if we go together as a group, we will get what we want. It's better than you sitting back and continue complaining that if I go, I won't get, or if I need this resource, I won't get. Yes, if you come together, as they always say, when the broom is together, it's difficult to break. But when it stands alone, anyone can break it. So yes, I think that's what I would say.
Okay, so unfortunately we are getting to the end of our discussion, but before we leave, Fishbone, your final words
on
everything. What's your advice to young people? What did you do differently that worked for you that you would encourage other young people to do?
I think I mentioned it earlier. Have a dream. If you are stuck, go help someone. Do this.
I would remember that.
Yeah, for me, I think that is what has worked for me so far. To the point, many people, like you said, many people didn't know that I was running Sanatizon, because the thing was, it's a big project. You understand? And I started it on paper. I got my studio, and I think for 2 years I never told anyone that I got my studio. I've been working on my studio. I never told them. It wasn't ready. You understand? So when I wake up in the morning, I come to Chi's place. That time Chi was here. We sit, we brainstorm on ideas. I go to Hikmet's program. I go to Ruka's poetry. Like Mustafa and go. You attend people's stuff. That way, even if you are not, how will I say, achieving your dream, but you are helping others achieve their dream. And like she said about the networking. Now, if all these people, you help them achieve their dream, and they stand firmly, they can come and support you achieve yours. But if you sit down and say that, since I'm not gonna get I'm not helping anybody. You see. So for me, that is what has been working for me. Up till now, when I'm not doing anything, I just go to one of the guys I'm close to, one of them I'm close to, and I ask them, like, what are you doing? What should we do? I do that. And we're talking about resources. I think I didn't, after Sanatizama, we don't get funds because we don't do NGO work. The little work we do, the little money we earn. And there was this uncle, and with this uncle quotes one time too. I did Kayaye some time back. And when I went, he told me that when I just got down, and to the station, and this loading boys used to load these cars with biscuits and other stuff. So told me that he used to call me Rafik. I came. It's like I have one advice for you. And this is a man who used to say Kaye man with 2 self-contained houses in Accra. And he told me that, do you know how I survived here? He said no. When they give you the money, don't count it, just put it in your pocket and say in the bani now and move on to the next job. So for me, we've been paid less in terms of what we do. But the point is, may God bless that little. Let's get back to work. So we have never asked for funds or anything. The trainings we do, most of them are free. We never take anything. We just believe in the help others succeed. When you help others succeed, you will also succeed. I think that's what I want to have for the youth. Help your friend succeed. Okay. Either encourage them, even if the person is work at the thing, just encourage them. Just encourage them. You don't know where they will end up.
Okay. Yeah. It's work.
Yes, as I still stick to my definition of development.
Yeah.
Yes, I just entreat my colleagues. A platform is a platform, an opportunity is an opportunity, no matter how small or big it is. When you have your idea, you come and add it to someone. That's a platform. It's an opportunity. She's running something. You have your idea. It's a platform about what she's doing.
Yeah.
It's a platform or opportunity for you to go and add it to hers. So that's a platform. Understand? So I like that. My colleague, young people, let's try and start whatever we have, and also let's not look at ourselves like maybe my idea is not good enough or my opinion is not good enough. No, look, it might be that yours is the best, and also when you are in a group of people, always try to contribute any small you have, because development starts from the mind. When the mind is able to know that this is what I want and this is what I think, then let me bring it out into being. That's where development starts. Okay. Then it comes outside. So everything you have, every small idea, every creative idea, bring it out.
Okay.
Bring it out. That's just what I have to say. Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Hikmat.
Yes, so I'll just conclude on this note. The need for us to engage in thriving mentorship as young people. You realize that whilst growing up, some of us didn't have a better chance of getting mentors to actually show us the way. But today, I think younger people, those behind us, are lucky to have some of us. I'll say, I'm not that old. I'm not like you. And I can see amazing young people doing amazing stuff all over, from Tamale to Accra. And if you are younger than these people, I think this is a better chance for you to make use of them and go to them. It's not a big deal. Just go to them. It's not difficult to go and talk to someone. Just tell the person, I want you to be my mentor. I want to walk in your shoes as well. And you'll be amazed where this will take you. I know what I'm saying. So please, young people, find thriving mentorship and make good use of it.
Okay, so young people, you heard her, find thriving mentorship and make good use of it. I know that sometimes you feel like the system is against you, but these are thriving young people. They have been able to build something and it's thriving till this point, so it was worth the acknowledgement. So do something. Hikmat says, come together and do something. Fishbone is saying that if your dreams are stuck, go and help someone make their own come true. Ismuk is also saying that you should be able to do what? Put your ideas out there. For all you know, that one might even be the best among all. So today, this brings us to the end of Young Voices Forum. Until we come your way, same time next week, it's bye for now. But before we leave today, there is a surprise for you. Ismuk will be performing one of his poetry. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
In the information age, the access to useful information could mean the difference between a healthy life and loss of life. Maternal and child mortality remains a major challenge
So that I can enjoy
in Ghana, especially among women in rural communities. According to UNICEF, the coverage of skilled
Ismuk the gigantic. Yalman lamba yitorbu zalmazan talaga. Nugub salam ko jar nabanya. Nubako nabari yarga. Ama kayikul kirkirkana bala por karaga. To tamalana lam yitamadajia and kawina ni yarga. The culture belan to you yin land one yalaga. You walapan zan targa dama she them the yarga. As I'm dominating to serve the world my shading. My seedbed seems so drying and threatens to hold my shining. But who? Big up to those supporting. With you, the world shall hear our voicing. Verse will see ourselves rejoicing, cause we'll be to the top flying. Ismuk, the boy of positivity. Crawling, falling, rising, falling, just for the joy of creativity. Rejecting, hooting, chasing, hooting, just at the toy of negativity. Always hoping for prosperity, cause nothing in the sky is my limit. Optimism, the decency, the gigantic.
In the information age, the access to useful information could mean the difference between a healthy life and loss of life. Maternal and child mortality remains a major challenge in Ghana, especially among women in rural communities. According to UNICEF,